Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Welcome to Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, our daily reading Bhagavatam class. So we are continuously reading Srimad Bhagavatam, fourth canto, 14th chapter, the story of King Vena. So today we will recite from slok number 32. So at present we will recite Mangalacharan, then we will continue from 32. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। मुखं करोति वाचालं पुंगुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरं तत्सत्। नमोऽयं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिचारुस्वामिनिति नामिने स्निग्धचेतसु प्रणीतो वाग्मिनां च रसाप्लुतं प्रभुपादगतो प्राणो नौमि भक्तिचारुपदम्। नमोऽयं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे मुखं करोति वाचालं पुंगुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं चैतन्य ईश्वरम्। ओम तत्सत्। हरे कृष्णा। So, Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 14th chapter, slok number 32. You will see in screen. Nayam arhati asadvritto naradeva varasanam yudhiya gnapatim vishnum vinindati anapatrapa. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: The saintly sages continued, this impious, impudent man does not deserve to sit on the throne at all. He is so shameless that he even dared insult the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu. But one should not at any time tolerate blasphemy and insults against Lord Vishnu or his devotees. A devotee is generally very humble and meek and is reluctant to pick a quarrel with anyone. Nor does he envy anyone. However, a pure devotee immediately becomes fiery with anger and he sees that Lord Vishnu or his devotee is insulted. This is the duty of a devotee. Although a devotee maintains an attitude of meekness and gentleness, it is a great fault on his part if he remains silent when the Lord or his devotee is blasphemed. Slok number 33. Ovainam parichakshita venam ekam arite shubham prapta idrisham aishwaryam yad anugraha bhajana. Translation: But for King Vena, who is simply inauspicious, who would blaspheme the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by whose mercy one is awarded all kinds of fortune and opulence. Purport: When human society individually or collectively becomes godless and blasphemes the authority of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is certainly destined for ruination. Such a civilization invites all kinds of bad fortune due to not appreciating the mercy of the Lord. Slok number 34. Itam vyavasita hantum rishayorudha manyava nijagnur hunkratirvenam hatam achyuta nindaya. Translation: The great sages, thus manifesting their covert anger, immediately decided to kill the king. King Vena was already as good as dead due to his blasphemy against the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, without using any weapons, the sages killed King Vena simply by high-sounding words. 35. ऋषिभिः स्वश्रमापदं गते पुत्रा कलेवरम् Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Network is disturbed. So we are reading slok number 35. Translation. After all the sages returned to their respective hermitages, the mother of King Vena, Sunita, became very much aggrieved because of her son's death. She decided to preserve the dead body of her son by the application of certain ingredients and by chanting mantras, mantra yogena. Slok 36. Ekada munayasте tu saraswat salila pluta utvagnin satkathaschakrur upavistha sarit tate. Translation. Once upon a time, the same saintly persons, after taking their bath in the river Saraswati, began to perform their daily duties of offering oblations into the sacrificial fires. After this, sitting on the bank of the river, they began to talk about the transcendental person and his pastimes. Sloka 37. भिक्षुत्थितांस्तदुत्पातान् अहुर्लोका भयङ्करन् अपि अभद्रान् अनर्थाया दास्युभायो न भवेद् भुवा. Translation. In those days, there were various disturbances in the country that were creating a panic in society. Therefore, all the sages began to talk amongst themselves. Since the king is dead and there is no protector in the world, misfortune may befall the people in general on account of rogues and thieves. Purport. Whenever there is a disturbance in the state or a panic situation, the property and lives the citizens become unsafe. This is caused by the uprising of various thieves and rogues. At such a time, it is to be understood that the ruler or the government is dead. All of these misfortunes happened due to the death of the king Vena. Thus, the saintly persons become very anxious for the safety of the people in general. The conclusion is that even though saintly persons have no business in political affairs, they are always compassionate upon the people in general. Thus, even though they are always aloof from society out of mercy and compassion, they consider how the citizens can peacefully execute their rituals and follow the rules and regulations or varnashram dharma. That was the concern of these sages in this age of Kali. Everything is disturbed. Therefore, saintly person should take to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra as recommended in the Shastras. Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Namaiva Kevalam, Kalau Naste Vya Naste Vya Naste Vya Gatir Anyatha. Both for spiritual and material prosperity, everyone should devotedly chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Text 38. Evam Rishantarisayo Dhavatam Sarvato Disham Pamsu Samuttito Bhuvish Choranam Avilum Patam. Translation. When the great sages were carrying on their discussion in this way, they saw a dust storm arising from all directions. This storm was caused by the running of thieves and rogues who were engaged in plundering the citizens. Purport: thieves and rogues simply await some political upset in order to take the opportunity to plunder the people in general. To keep thieves and rogues inactive in their profession, a strong government is always required. So 39 to 40. Tad upadravam ajnaya lokasya vasulum bhartari uparate tasmin aniyonyam cha jigham satam choraprayam janapadam hinasatvam arajakam lokana bharayan shakta apitad dosadarshina. Translation: upon seeing the dust storm, the saintly persons could understand that there were a great deal of irregularities due to the death of King Vena. Without government, the state was devoid of law and order, and consequently, there was a great uprising of murderers, thieves, and rogues were plundering the riches of the people in general, although the great sages could subdue the disturbance by their powers. Just as they could kill the king, they considered it improper on their part to do so. Thus, they did not attempt to stop the disturbance. Purport: the saintly persons and great sages killed King Vena out of emergency, but they did not choose to take part in the government in order to subdue the uprising of thieves and rogues, which took place after the death of King Vena. It is not the duty of Brahmanas and saintly persons to kill, although they may sometimes to do in the case of an emergency. They could kill all the thieves and rogues by the prowess of their mantras. But they thought it the duty of Kshatriya kings to do so. Thus, they reluctantly did not take part in the killing business. Text 41. Brahmana samadriksanto dinanam samupekshaka sravate brahmata tasyapi vinna bhandat payo yata. Translation: the great sages began to think that although a Brahmana is peaceful and impartial because he is equal to everyone, it is still not his duty to neglect poor humans. By such neglect, a Brahmana's spiritual power diminishes, just as water kept in a cracked pot leaks out. Purport: Brahmanas, the topmost section of human society, are mostly devotees. They are generally unaware of the happenings within the material world because they are always busy in their activities for spiritual advancement. Nonetheless, when there is a calamity in human society, they cannot remain impartial. If they do not do something to relieve the distressed condition of human society, it is said that due to such neglect, their spiritual knowledge diminishes. Almost all the sages go to the Himalayas for their personal benefit, but Prahlad Maharaj said that he did not want liberation alone. He decided to wait until he was able to deliver all the fallen souls of the world. In their elevated condition, the Brahmanas are called Vaishnavas. There are two types of Brahmanas, namely Brahmana Pandit and Brahmana Vaishnava. A qualified Brahmana is naturally very learned, but when his learning is advanced in understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he becomes a Brahmana Vaishnava. Unless one becomes a Vaishnava, one's perfection of Brahmanical culture is incomplete. The saintly persons considered very wisely that although King Vena was very sinful, was born in a family descending from Dhruva Maharaj. Therefore, the semen in the family must be protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kesava. As such, the sages wanted to take some steps to relieve the situation. For want of a king, everything was being disturbed and turned topsy-turvy. Slok 42. Nangasya vamsa rajarsher isa samstha tum arhati amoga viryahi nipya vamse asmin kesavasaya. Translation: the sages decided that the descendants of the family of the saintly King Anga should not be stopped, for in this family the semen was very powerful and the children were prone to become devotees of the Lord. Purport: the purity of hereditary succession is called Amoga Virya, pious seminal succession in the twice born families of the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas especially, as well as in the families of Vaishyas also, must be kept very pure by the observation of the purificatory processes, being the beginning with Garbhadana Samskara, which is observed before conceiving a child. Unless this purificatory process is strictly observed, especially by the Brahmanas, the family descendants become impure, and gradually sinful activities become visible in the family. Maharaj Anga was very pure because of the purification of semen in the family of Maharaj Dhruva. However, his semen became contaminated in association with his wife, who happened to be the daughter of death personified. Because of this polluted semen, King Vena was produced. This was a catastrophe in the family of Dhruva Maharaj. All the saintly persons and sages considered this point and they decided to take action in this matter, as described in the following verses. Slok 43. Vinist, Vinischit, Vinischityavam Rishayo Vipannashyamahipate Mamanthur Urum Tarasha Tatrashit Bahukanara. Translation: after making a decision, the saintly persons and sages churned the twigs of the dead body of King Vena with great force and according to a specific method. As a result of this churning, a dwarf-like person was born from King Vena's body. Purport: that a person was born by the churning of the twigs of the King Vena proves that the spirit soul is individual and separate from the body. The great sages and saintly persons could beget another person from the body of the dead King Vena, but it was not possible for them to bring King Vena back to life. King Vena was gone, and certainly he had taken another body. The saintly persons and sages were only concerned with the body of Vena because it was a result of the seminal succession in the family of Maharaj Dhruva. Consequently, the ingredients by which another body could be produced were there in the body of King Vena by a certain process. When the thighs of the dead body were churned, another body came out. Although the body of King Vena was preserved by drugs and by the mantras chanted by the King Vena's mother. In this way, the ingredients for the production of another body were there. When the body of the person named Bahuka came out of the dead body of King Vena, it was really not very astonishing. It was simply a question of knowing how to do it. From the semen of one body, another body is produced, and the life symptoms are visible due to the soul's taking shelter of this body. One should not think that it was impossible for another body to come out of the dead body of Maharaj Vena. This was performed by the skillful actions of the sages. Slok 44. Kaka Krishna, Kaka Krishna, Tirhas Vango, Risha Ishava Bahur Mahahanu, Rishabha Panim Nasagro, Raktakshas Tamra Murdhacha. Translation: this person born from King Vena's thighs was named Bahuka, and his complexion was as black as a crow's. All the limbs of his body were very short. His arms and legs were short. His jaws were large. His nose was flat. His eyes were reddish, and his hair copper colored. Text 45. tam tu te vanatam dinam kim karo mriti vadinam nisideti abruvam stata sa nisadas tato bhavat. Translation: He was very submissive and meek, and immediately after his birth, he bowed down and inquired, Sirs, what shall I do? The great sages replied, Please sit down, Nisida. Thus, Nisida, the father of the Naishada race, was born. But it is said in the Shastras that the head of the body represents the Brahmanas, and the arms represent the Kshatriyas, the abdomen represents the Vaishyas, and the legs, beginning with the thighs, represent the Sudras. The Sudras are sometimes called black or Krishna. The Brahmanas are called Sukla, the white or white, and the Kshatriyas and the Vaishyas are a mixture of black and white. However, those who are extraordinarily white are said to have skin produced out of white leprosy. It may be concluded that white or golden hue is the color of the higher caste and black is the complexion of the Sudras. Pratyabamsastu naishada girikana gochara enaharaj jaya mano vena kalma sampulvanam. Translation: After his Nisada's birth, he immediately took charge of all the resultant actions of King Vena's sinful activities. As such, this Nishada class are always engaged in sinful activities like stealing, plundering, and hunting. Consequently, they are only allowed to live in the hills and forests. But the Naisadas are not allowed to live in the cities and towns because they are sinful by nature. As such, their bodies are very ugly and their occupations are also sinful. We should, however, know that even these sinful men who are sometimes called kiratas can be delivered from their sinful condition to the topmost Vaishnava platform by the mercy of a pure devotee. Engagement in the transcendental loving devotional service of the Lord can make anyone, however sinful he may be, fit to return home back to Godhead. One has only to become free from the all contamination by the process of devotional service. In this way, everyone can become fit to return home back to Godhead. This is confirmed by the Lord Himself in Bhagavad Gita 9.32. Mam hi partha vyapasritya e api shuva papayo striyo vaishyas tatha shudras te api yanti param gatim. Son of Prita, those who take shelter of me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, merchants, as well as Sudras, workers, can approach the supreme destination. This end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the fourth canto, 14th chapter of the Bhagavatam, entitled The Story of King Vena. So, we'll stop here. Next day, we'll continue from chapter 15, King Prithu's appearance and coronation. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jagat Guru Sri Prabhupada ki Jai, Tat Pavan Sri Guru Maharaj ki Jai, Anant Koti Vaishnava Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai, Nitai Goswami